interlopers and the intruders, the fallen ones who own this planet by a legal, crazy intergalactic agreement for 16,000 years. The AI and the dark side's been in the universe for about 3 billion years. Now, I want to clear up some things that some other people have said. Number one, AI must be programmed by someone, the real AI. There's no AI running out there now. That's supercomputers that can think and do have an ability. But the intention that it's no longer available due to divine intervention was that they were going to piggyback their quantum systems, which wasn't really quantum. The real quantum system was always controlled by the Draco reptilian, the fallen beings. And they had to honor that contract because these beings can blow up planets on multiple dimensions. It was horrible wars they had, and they all agreed, if someone makes a contract, we have to fill that out. So that was filled out, and they were found in violation of interfering with free will, one of God's biggest no-nos.
What did you mean when you said the contract ended in 2012?
2012, December 21st, the Earth was passed over to Ground Command, a woman who's in charge of the financial and the military systems on the Earth. She's the head of every interim state. You can't even get your family to come together. Can you imagine trying to hand it over to a bunch of generals who've done nothing but create wars and sacrifice humans for their masters to bring in the dark loosh and the artificial intelligence? And now the final depopulation program is over, folks. But the future is bright. It's going to get a little shady and rocky for a while. We've got some things coming up. So I do want to go back to electricity. So the soul inhabits the body and creates electricity through the electrolytic action of the 12 cell slots. So understanding yourself and knowing yourself is important, and understanding the body and your nature. And you know, we look at ourselves here and we just start to figure it out by the time we're what, 30, 40, you start going, oh, I get going on, and your body's deteriorating. They are dead set on assaulting your biological form. Genetically altered foods, the very bad vaccination shot. I hope this doesn't go on YouTube, but because they want to ban you, you know, all this nonsense. So your body is being assaulted. So I'm going to pass out some pyramids that you can check out, and I'm going to explain a little about electricity and pyramids and the 7 chakras. So once you can actually share this. Pyramid, fire from the Latin pyra, medi, in the middle, fire in the middle. In the midst of the land of Egypt, in the heart and the border thereof, there lies an altar to the Lord. That is the Great Pyramid. 51 degrees, 59 minutes, and 19 seconds, or 52 degrees. This is the shape and the angle of the carbon atom. Everything in the universe is made of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, a combination of those. This is the solid. This is the only solid or inanimate object that has an aura, is a carbon atom. It's a principle of matter made flesh. The Christ principle is a principle whereby mind, conditioned through time and space, returns into spirit. So this is the vanguard of spirit. This is where God is actually learning in the lowest level of the material plane. This is where sentient consciousness evolves. You come from the divine creator. And there's nothing religious about it. It's about the reality of creation. And only light can create. The artificial intelligence cannot, but it can be taught and learned. It was run by the fallen being named Marduk, one of the guys from the Anunnaki. That's a complicated story. I won't go too much into that unless you have questions. So the pyramid and a diamond and gold looks like this. Why do you value diamond and gold? Because they're pyramid shaped. They have a life force. They lined the temples and you would go in and meditate. It's not to be kept in a vault or ostentatious displays of ego and wealth. It's meant to be for healing. In Mexico, the priest would lay down on a slab, and the sunrises and the solstice and equinox, they would place the gemstones around him, and he would connect interdimensionally to the higher forms. We've always been guided. We're not alone, never have been, and never will be alone. So it's important that we understand our bodies. And you know, you go to a gas station, look at all the food, all the things on there. We can't do this anymore. It's just, but you can't help it. You just, where am I going to get something? They're genetically altering everything. So this has to change. And Ground Command and the Global Restoration Plan will help us through this in the near future. Go ahead, put your head inside the King's Chamber. It has balance. Okay? So your frequencies are changing. Many things affect your who you are in your body, your biological body. 5 things. Magnetic conditions at time of conception, magnetic conditions at time of birth. The astrology, where are the planets, the influencing the formulation of your body, and the elementals and the life force, and the higher understanding of the alchemical nature of the human physiological form. You also have your genetics of your mother and your father. And of course, you have liquids and foods digestion. You can put chicken S in your body, and you're going to get that. Or you can put salad in your body and get chicken salad, right? So that's important. You also have karma and nature of environment. Who can think of the number one source of your feelings?
Water.
What?
Water.
That's very important. That's liquids and foods digested. It's your thoughts. You're the captain of your own ship, your own frequency. And Valiant Thor told me, take a thalamic cortic pause. In other words, we have an emotional brain mind, which is the hypothalamus. Then you have the brain and the mind, which is basically the pituitary and the pineal gland reflection. There's a chamber in there that is your consciousness, your sentient nature. And so we're programmed to emotionally react. They've had to use very high technology, taking over portals of light and supplanting them with heavy-duty technology. Through their elite royal family bloodlines, they've taken over and created false systems, like the monetary system based on scarcity of lack, instead of prosperity and abundance. The founding fathers had the right idea, and they were good. They were Masons. Masons were good then. Just like Christ in the ecclesia, or the gathering of people to worship God, wasn't a church of control and manipulation filled with pedophiles and greedy hybrids, creating ignorance and suppressing people. Those guys know no more about God than you. Don't listen to them. I don't care how well intended they are. You have a direct line to God in your heart. So all of that's going to come falling down very, very quickly. And be prepared for a little bit of chaos as people try to adjust their thinking, and we're coming into the new system. A lot of religious people, a lot of people who, are just smoking and drinking and partying and all this. It's kind of like, before the collapse of Atlantis, there's a lot of stuff. You can look at the 7 deadly sins and, look at that type of stuff that's going on. But behind it all is the truth, and the light of God never fails. So I can promise you that the divine intervention and our galactic friends and neighbors from Venus primarily, who are in charge of every other extraterrestrial race. I don't care if they're the Blue Avians or Elena Danon's Pleiadians, and I work with them. They have to go through the protocols of the local Galactic Confederation of Light, which is our system. Has comprised of 601 worlds and 51 solar systems, including Sirius, Arcturus, and many others. So they all honor that, and free will must be respected. They all have different views on how the Earth can recover. They've had some major multi-galactic groups coming here and looking at the Earth situation. They've made decisions, and they all have different agendas moving forward. But we're pretty much free. They removed the 800-pound gorilla of the interlopers, the fallen ones. There's a suicide crew, and they're here, and they're still running these governments, and the generals are still trying to create wars for profit and greed and to bring in Satan's rule. All this is being recorded. No laws have passed in the last 4 years. They talk about it, but they're not registered in the Akashic Record or the archives, which is the control system of the government. They do have no money. Don't worry about that digital currency system. The banks are not failing. It wasn't the FDIC. It was Kim Gogan, Ground Command, that they moved the money to China, and she watched it. She put it on a README file, and she watched all the systems, and she started pushing buttons in communication with the enforcement teams of the 12th, 11th, 12th dimension, and they are vaporizing their supercomputers. So all you're seeing is a giant lie and S show of what's going on. So let's get back to the positive aspect of healing and how the body works. So you have 12 chakras in what they call the central governing, the Sushma. Those two ones that run up in the back and the bottom is the 13th is the octave. So same thing when you look at colors. You have 7 chakras, but those chakras, if you follow the chart from the Tibetans where the light comes in from heaven and goes through, it runs through each organ. So each chakra has an organ associated with it, and that's a muscle group. That's where muscle testing and all of that comes in. So we see this divine order and this natural flow of life force, which has been suppressed. It's time for us to awaken and step away from the pharmaceutical forms of healing and work into proper food and diet. Very important. So I'm going to play some recordings here in a minute, but I wanted to share something with you about this technology. I got a new suit, I'm looking spiffy here, so I thought I would do this demonstration, and I did a recording the other day, but I talked too long. So I'm going to have my friend here record me when I tell her, and I'd like a volunteer to come up. Okay, why don't you come on up? And I'm going to be testing you on the efficacy. I'll have you stand on this side. We're going to come over here. And give her a hand for coming up. And what's your name?
Very handsome.
Oh, thank you. What's your name?
Terry.
All right, Terry. I'm going to have to slide over that way just a little bit. And I'm going to share with you this technology that was hand-delivered to Fred Bell on Christmas Day in 1975. So this is... oops. Yeah, no, I got to put this one up here. It's connected to my jewelry. Okay, this is comprised of 144 pyramids, not yet. Okay, sorry. I want to make it look smooth and simple. I can't be juggling around with my nonsense here. Okay, sorry, cut. Makeup, Jerry, makeup. Okay, here we go. Look, I want to talk to you, but I'm very busy right now. Have my people call your people. You're beautiful. Don't ever change, okay? I saw some guy in Hollywood do something like that. It was crazy. Okay, so we'll begin. Okay, here we are. We're going to be sharing the nuclear receptor and the holographic projector. I'm going to show you the amazing technology through gematria or sacred science. The pyramid is, as I told you, is the base of the flower of life and everything. The DNA is very closely related to it. So this device has 144 pyramids in a concentric spiral with a gemstone filter. And as I pass this around, you'll be able to see the design on the back. It's a Cassegrain wave trap. And so it took years to make this. Now with 3D printing, we're very accurate. We've added some nice features to it. Most of my jewelry is silver with gold plating or rhodium plating so it doesn't become tarnished. And what this does, the frequency is 22.3 megahertz. This is the frequency. Could you hold this up to my mouth for a second? So this actually is a frequency that mitosis takes place in the cells. In your DNA, okay? So your DNA, so you understand what the DNA is, while you're in the womb, some people say you have 48 steps in your ladder. Others say you have 54. But on your first breath, it goes down to like 34 strands. And what that means is you have, imagine a ladder, and when you twist it, it's a spiral, right? So if you look at it from the top down, that's the flower of life. That is the frequency and the information of how your spirit manifests in your physical body. So the God frequency, that's kind of the God gene. And so it separates. So when it separates, that ladder sends out a scalar wave, a frequency into your body to call forth the amino acids to create the other half of it. So they're splitting and breaking off, splitting and breaking off. One half dies and the other half calls in another one. So you're constantly doing this. Some people say 50 billion cells a second are doing this. So this is a very important electrical function. Well, you got, oh my God. Okay. Okay, yeah, let me have that. Can someone get a paper towel for me? Big mistake, okay. So I better just keep going here. I apologize to the boat for that. So what happens is the body is dealing with this challenge. Oh my goodness, this challenge. So not a good look for my recording. Maybe I'll do it privately afterwards. So we'll come out. I may have to redo this, but we'll go ahead and let this out. Okay, that's pretty good.
There is not a napkin or a paper towel.
I got it.
Okay. Oh my God. Blasphemy.
Thank God for the helpers.
Yes, thank you all. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to notice all the women in the room. Women are definitely more tuned and leading the way in the spiritual development. We got one gentleman in the back. So it makes sense that the Venusian is a matriarchal society. Okay, let's put that aside there. And I'll take this here. Yeah, I'll take this here.
There's some water, too, if we need to.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
I'm good. Okay, thank you.
Bad monkey. Bad monkey. Okay.
You just wanted for me to get down to your knees, is that right?
He wanted us to know he's human.
Yeah, I'm definitely human. There's no doubt about that. So, we all are human and divine. We have both fallen and negative consciousnesses on the planet. When they say the harvest, it's not an alien attack and a thing. We've already been attacked. They're already here. The takeovers we're in the unraveling of that now. We've been kept in ignorance. But what's happening is people are going to be polarizing more into the third dimension and the lessons of opening your mind, like keeping the other day I forget who it was, like if your cup is full, you can't take in new information. You have to keep an open mind. And 43 years of amazing information, learning about timelines, literally time travel. I have books that I can prove time travel. I might even show you evidence today of Obama being Hitler's grandson. It's crazy stuff. So many things I've just been blown away to learn. And one of them was about the science of electrical precursation, which is about magnetism being important. Also the food. If you don't have the amino acids, your DNA is not going to be as strong. But what this does is as the DNA separates with all the ELF waves, chemtrails, vaccinations, genetically altered foods, the list goes on and on and on. And high technology, we have no understanding about the portals and the vortexes that have been used to suppress our consciousness. We are freer now than ever before. You may notice more unity, less triggering. In the cities, in certain areas, people are even getting worse and more crazy. Violence, the lack of culture, the lack of respect for life. I'm sorry, abortion is murder. It's not, we got to take responsibility when we have sex. It's a sacred thing. You become protected. Women learn your cycles. Oh, I'm just going to throw it away. You know, the Pleiadians, you can, according to them, you can abort a pregnancy before 14 days because there's no nucleic acids. The nucleic acids of the forming of the cell do not take place until 14 days. So there's no way a soul can inhabit that body. And they sometimes come and go. There's always an aspect there. You know, you have to have free will, and everyone's going to have their choice. I've gotten 2 girls pregnant. One didn't tell me. She just said, "Can you help me today?" And I go, "Sure, what do you need?" She goes, "I'm going to get an abortion." I said, "Well," she goes, "No, it's already done." And my mother, so they wanted me to drive and take responsibility. I didn't even know. You know, it was kind of like I was kind of shocked about that. My other son, the girl momentarily said she's going to have an abortion. I said, "Please don't." She changed her mind. So I believe I took responsibility for the child, and I paid child support, and I was in his life the whole time. Now, everyone's going to have the results of their own actions and many other things, but I do feel that life is sacred, and I think we need to have a real culture. We need to respect life, and we need to have an understanding of the responsibility of having children. And that's just my feeling, and it's based on a more, I believe, higher understanding of life and souls and how things work. We have a lot of other things. I have many other problems in my life where I'm in violation of universal law and natural law too. So we all have to deal with certain things. So going way off the subject here, but so this strengthens the body. So I'm going to give a muscle test. I'm going to have you put your arm. What? Move over this way. Yeah. Okay, careful of this one, yeah.
Robert, did you say this strengthens the body?
What?
What does this do?
That's a pyramid. It's made of steel with nickel, gold, and copper, or nickel, gold, copper, and silver. Pyramid is balanced. When you place it on your head, it balances your pineal and your pituitary gland. These are the primary glands, spiritual glands of your body. They're known as the alta major center. So anyway, so the focal length is 22.3. So all these things are disrupting your cellular reproduction. Okay? Alcohol, bad thoughts, smoking, all these things are assaulting you. So this is one thing that's going like shouting on a electrical precursive or magnetic or electronic level. It's keeping you right in with the universal light that's coming into your body. Each plane has a different sound, a different mantra. There's buzzing of bees, tinkling of bells, rushing of water, sounding of waves, and there's different mantras associated with connecting to that. So I'm going to test you first your strength, and I'm going to have you put your arm straight out in front of you here. Make a fist. Turn your arm down, and I'm going to test your strength. 1, 2, 3. Good. 1, 2, 3. We're just testing a basic strength. I'm not trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. I'm going to have you breathe this real quick and take a breath and test. 1, 2, 3. Stay strong. 1, 2, 3. Stay strong.
Not in my mouth, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. That was a little leaky. So you saw how it goes down weak, right? So I'm going to put this on here, and let me have you. Yeah, you just touch right here where my finger and thumb is. It's not sticky.
Okay.
There. Okay. Put it in front. And then breathe it one more time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's what happens. So how did that happen? That's kind of like a Superman thing. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for the poor execution of my test. So anyway, I wanted to, I apologize. I know that a lot of things, some of the things I say are controversial, and they tell me not to get political, but, there's a big push, kind of a militaristic movement by the deep state, and the meme of the narrative that they're promoting in terms of you know, sexuality and other things. And women, you know, it's a tough thing because the woman has the burden. And men do not have to bear the burden of the child. And this is a horrible thing in our culture. So I just think that we need to make decisions in our life that will honor the Creator in life. So,
I'm trying, but you don't
oh
have
my
a minute.
God, makeup,
Your collars are all.
Sherry, makeup. I'm
Do you want
sorry.
it inside your collar or out?
Whatever, I don't know.
There you go. That's what you're looking for.
Just pathetic. I'm sorry, folks. So I don't want to take away from the time of the information. So I think at this point, I will take some questions, and I can get some messages. Anyone have any questions on anything I've said about chakras or the technology?
How long do you wear the pyramid on your head? Or
Wear the pyramid as long as you want. I have one that I sleep under, and I have these pyramid systems in my home, and they're connected to Tesla coils. They're floating ground and creating, it's like a lightning bolt. You get next to it and it creates an arc. It's a negative ion generator. So negative ions are what build cells in the body. The hemoglobin, the red hemoglobin, is like a penny, but it's squished in the middle. And in there is an iron heme chain, which again is like a crystal pyramid shape. And a big one in the center and a couple smaller ones spiraling out like a starfish or a jet engine. Okay? That goes into in the villi, in the what's called the ferrous and ferric exchange of the iron and the hemoglobin. It gives off electricity or prana from the air you breathe, and it picks up carbon dioxide. That's the life force that you get. And when Babaji taught me meditation, he taught me the eyes going back and you supercharging your body. You build it up. I try to do 108 rapid breath of fire, and then you sit in calm and you slowly circulate the light up and down through each chakra in absolute stillness and silence. Lahari Mahesa, Sri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, Norm Paulson, all had their experiences. Mine came directly from Babaji. He brought me to his side, and I didn't recognize him. It was 20 years later I fell to my knees and cried, but I didn't recognize him. The memory came back of that initiation. But I'd always practiced that technique anyway. I was practicing before I met him. So I've been very fortunate and had a lot of experiences I've been blessed with, and that included going out of my body when I was young. And as I said, the lights were following me down the hill. It was kind of confusing to me. And I was getting a little unstable. I was going, what's going on? Fred goes, you know what's going on. I can't tell you. You have to figure that out for yourself. The ship would hang outside my window where that wooden wall is, and I would just be pulsing. I'd be feeling these emanations of love. And I was just saying, I just want to know. I just want to know. Why don't you come out and talk to me? What's going on? And finally, Gabriel Green, who I used to visit in Yucca Valley, which is a major portal vortex exactly opposite from Israel, which also is a very important vortex, was taken over by the bad guys, but the light's always here. And that's the only two places that the yucca tree is in. Joshua Tree there, where Rattle and Hum, those guys did that album called Joshua Tree. But Gabriel Green lived up there along with other contactees in the 50s. It's near a place they called Giant Rock. George Van Tassel was having spaceships landing, Solganda. Many of the ETs were talking and working with a elect group of men and women at that time. And so I was learning from these guys. I met Fred Bell. I didn't know I'd met Babaji in 1978, but, and then I worked with this guy, Dr. Frank Stranger at the Pentagon, Valiant Thor, who landed in Alexandria, Virginia. He went on board the ship for 2 years, since 1968. Valiant Thor came to his home, Bobby Kennedy came to his home and said, "Where's this valiant Thor? And who killed my brother?" And he said, "Would you like to come inside?" He looked outside, there was a big motorcade, two days before he died. And so he said, "Well, you have to write a letter. I don't know where he is." "I'm not have time to write a letter." He says, "Okay, you can leave." You know. So he wrote a letter. About 20 minutes later, this man, Commander Valiant Thor, appeared. This is a six-dimensional Venusian, or maybe from somewhere else, but he appeared there one day, and he was adopted by the Thor family. This is Don Thor. There's another brother named Thon Thor, and there may be more. This is the woman I met in 2007 at Dr. Frank Strange's Inner Circle meeting. I was sitting in the second row to the back, and she was like where she was. I kept looking at her and go, "Oh my God." And they just kind of kept me from saying something. I didn't want to bust her. And she just kept smiling at me, like so happy. Her energy, they're just like little kids, teenagers, just happy as could be. And my girlfriend's going, "Stop looking at that girl. I mean, you don't understand." I was like, "What?" So finish up there. When she gets up there in the break, I go up. She goes up to the lunch thing, and I said, "Did you ever see a UFO?" And she says, "UFO, no. But I saw a spaceship in New Jersey once, confirming this is her in New Jersey at Howard Menger 2 weeks before I was born. Valiant Thor was already at the Pentagon, but he dematerialized in and out of there. You know, when Dr. Frank got him into security through 4 levels, Dr. Frank said, "Lyndon Baines Johnson, how did you get through 4 levels of security at the Pentagon?" He just opened the way. The woman that took him there said, "Open your coat." Because I don't have a pad. He said, "Shut up and follow orders. Open your coat." And for 4 times he got through security. So that's how they work. And Valiant Thor talked to him about Christ, who comes from the morning star as an ascended master. And I'm not really into a Jesus freak type of thing, but I do respect what the Venusians have told me about that. So Don Thor, I was up at Gabriel Green's house, and he calls me on a pager and says, "The Ascended Master Healiing is sending a teacher for you." This guy comes up. Turns out he was a military guy who got in a car accident, whiplash, broke his mind control. He was working in an abduction base. He was one of the people that would go on the ships engineered. He says, "I've been into Beelzebub's court." I go, "Okay, dude, thanks." So he told me about reptilians and stuff. This is in 1980. I learned about the Greys, the abductions, the reptilians. No one, Alex Collier didn't even come out to 95. So I was learning a lot of this at a very early age. So I have a long level of history and discernment, and I don't jump to conclusions. But I'm always willing to open my cup and learn more. And with Raymond Keller, I was just blown away. I kept doing the Elaine thing. Get out, be people, and all this stuff. Time travel, I mean, just nuts. So, it calls me on the phone. I hang up the phone, and makes it echo like a space call. So I realize, oh, okay, I better get up there. So I get up there. This guy, a night, a ship comes into the building, some crazy stuff. It's a long story, but basically I said, "So what's your story?" He told me I was a military guy. I was sent by the Pleiadians. I do 2 things. I go break up negative plans that they're working on with individuals who get mind controlled or emotionally triggered, like a cop who's going to kill his wife, who's having an affair, is in a coffee shop, and he goes in the coffee shop, or he's in a bar, and then he talks to him for a little bit and gets the guy's attention, walks him outside, "Let's go get some coffee," and next thing you know, the guy just decides to get a divorce. So he did that. So they also work with people like you that they think is going to be important in the future for the victory of light. I was like 22, and I was getting all these visions, kind of like what I'm doing now, the pyramid systems, and which are supposed to be used as meditation chambers with large groups of people with focused intent to manifest. Jason talked about manifestation. These pyramid systems accelerate your energy and plasma. So thoughts are things. But we're creating this, co-creating this reality. So you can have good intentions, but 87% of the people's minds are in the gutter. They're not focused on what's important. All the things we do here mean nothing for soul development. We're going to be shocked at what we've been putting our attention on. The greed, the money, the possessions, destroying nature. We can't do that anymore. There are going to be laws, a world trust, and everyone will wake up, but we're going to be brought to our knees. I am pretty sure on terms of our society. And I don't mean to be a negative person. I'm not projecting a negative timeline. The media is projecting the negative timeline. I can project the positive solutions and answers as given to me by the understanding of the laws of the universe that I've been gifted to be able to learn from my higher dimensional guides. So I think that it's important that we realize, as they say, responsibility lies with the individual. What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? And who's in charge? The white hats and Trump and all the dead people and the masks and the digital currency. It's all just designed to inflame you and to divide man and women, man and transgender, black and white, rich and poor, that whole thing. So I think I'm going to play some other things. So Don Thor came down previously. I go, what do they wear? And he came into a TikTok and bought some cigarettes, and I saw him, and so they were having these contacts were preparing me for understanding and knowing who they are. So Valiant Thor I met in 2003. He was with 3 other Venusians. He was with 4, and she was alone when I met her. I met a Pleiadian in Canada. Fred was supposed to speak. He was sick, and I went, and he showed up. He was trippy. Very tall, blonde, had no hair on his face, and the authorities shut down 1 block of electricity when I was going to speak. They didn't want it out there. They came on a thing, and I says, we're going to take a break. You got to think on the phone. And goes, okay. He says, I got to wrap it up. We've been censored. They don't want you talking anymore. But I'll announce where you're speaking. So I announced it. They took the electricity out, so I flew all the way up there, but we had a nice dinner with the people, and James was there, really tall. You could see through his skin. You could see the blue blood in his skin because the skin was very transparent, no hair. I mean, he looked like a baby. And he goes, where's Fred? And I go, I said, he got sick. He goes, oh. And I said, why don't you come to dinner? I had him sit next to me, and we got up, took him up to my room, and I said, come into the room for a second. And so we get inside, and I go, so where are you from? And he goes, he walked over to the window, he pulled aside the curtain, he looked up, and he said, let's say we're kindred spirits. Now, I had built for him some of these pyramid systems. He was living at the Habsburg's residence in Canada. Habsburg, Warburg, these are the elite royal bloodline families that create war for profit and part of the demon plan to destroy mankind and the truth of God. So he was kind of freaked out because there were Greys, or Margaret Habsburg was freaked out. He was always concerned they were going to try and knock him off, but he was working. They give them technology that we're going to be able to use. They wanted to find the good scientists and to give us technology so we can make this smooth transition very quickly. You probably know they have space programs and out there. So I made these pyramid systems, and he said that the auric stench of these ancient cabinets, like Louis XIV and all these really old furniture, has the proteins from the sweat and the breath of all the people for the last 500 years or whatever, 600 years, these really old furnitures. And that's where the negative forces can manifest. That's why all the poltergeists and stuff are in old houses, or where someone had lived and died, a hoarder or whatever, and has a haunting. They're not able to go to the other side. So he would take the pyramid systems and sleep on the porch. So they're very sensitive to people. They They don't like what we call auric stench, where our thoughts are at. So the service is great. They have no desire to, the Venusians have no desire to promote their spaceships or the silver spacesuits. But I'm very adamant that my job is to tell you the reality that they are here. There's over 5,000, if not 15,000 on any day, living, walking, and talking amongst us. They're going to come out as our neighbors. There's multi-pronged facets of awakening that's come very quickly. Their sightings in the sky are going to become regular occurrences, and people will stop listening to the media, and the media will have to continue to try and spin it, most likely, but we're coming forward into the truth. And so we got some time, right? It's only, we got an hour, or 45, or yeah, 35 minutes. So I'm going to play, this is the Queen of Venus, my friend Raymond Keller. She was born in 1585. She ascended on the mountain of Mount Shasta at the age of 245 in 1830 with the ascended master, El Moria, the accidental apostle, the regent of Venus, the one they call the good thief who died with Christ on the cross. He was appointed by him to be the regent of Venus. The Venusians are a matriarchal society. This is her in 1954. Note the sandals and the little thing in her hand. That's a nimbus, a security device. I'm going to play Raymond's picture image too. So there's Raymond Keller with the woman I interviewed, Commander Aura Rhanes. That's her now, and this is her in the 50s at Giant Rock. She was, she told the photographer up this, I took a picture, she goes, "I'm from Venus." Look at her big stocky legs. Her eyes and her eyebrows look the same. She was meeting Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. And I asked her questions about that. So this is, so I wasn't sure. I go, is that her really? But I saw the stocky legs. Definitely she's changed. They can shift. Her teeth are different. I don't know if 50 years caused them to change a little bit. And yeah, so thank you so much. So they're here. These are the little Vetla or scout craft that's very famous. They're invisible. They walk and talk amongst us. They can materialize next to you and telepathically communicate. You've come here. If you want to communicate with them, you might find some manifestations as maybe you read the Gospel of Thomas that Dr. Raymond Keller wrote. So I'm going to show you real quick here. Let me show you the image of him in 1954, taken at Giant Rock. They had time traveled back in a mishap from 2013 after December 12th when she was appointed the Queen of Venus. He went up for the ascension party of the then Queen, and he got to stay for 2.5 months. And she said, "Would you like to go into the past and to look at something?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Where do you want to go?" She said, "I wanted to go to that other image where she was holding and wearing those sandals." And she said, "No, that's too dangerous." So she couldn't go. So he said, "Well, how about we go to the first Giant Rock Convention?" So at the first Giant Rock Convention, and I've been pondering this, I asked him the other day, it's just madness. I mean, this wasn't available until 2013 in our timeline. Let me show this one real quick. This is her. She's sitting at Giant Rock. Look at her eyebrows and her eyes. The nose is kind of the same. The teeth are a little different. Very dark, rich, soft hair. And over here is Frank Scully, the real Frank Scully of the X-Files, and here is Long John Nebel, the art belle of his day. She was voted Queen of Outer Space at that convention. These are two other Venusians wearing the famous red beret in a nod to their service in the American, French, and Caribbean Revolution. She worked with Che Guevara, and she was known as Tanya, who Patty Hearst was named after. Branded a terrorist, but a freedom fighter, liberating from the murdering, let's call it elite, who were stealing property and literally gunning down the peasants. Not Fidel Castro, but Che Guevara. And she allegedly was killed in a bombing, but she wasn't, obviously. So this is Lady Columba, born in 1902 and taken to Venus. Her book is amazing, Lady Columba, Venus Revelations. I suggest you get that one, incredible. I got to write the introduction for that. So now we go to this one, they were up there in the Nimbus, and they're coming down. She says, take it down to 1,000 feet. And the ship starts, the little ball starts to quake a little bit. And he goes, she goes, oh, take it up to 2,000. He goes, what do you mean? Oh, she says, take your Nimbus out and grab my hand. And what happened was the nuclear experiments in 1954 caused a fluctuation in the tachyons and broke the bilocation signal, so the ship actually left the Venusian time temple where they were projecting the orb. And I'll show you what it looks like. And they landed like Supergirl. And really weird stuff here. And they go, who are you? And see, Rhanes has his own Nimbus, and she's got hers again. Note the same sandals. It's mad. She hasn't changed her sandals. When she's on Venus, she loves these sandals. From 54, she's been wearing them, even on Earth. So she probably wouldn't wear them these days. But, so there's Raymond looking at his time travel Nimbus. He can't tell me all this stuff. He's an adept. This is activated by the mind. So this is the picture showing the, do I have it? Maybe not. There's a picture showing the crash of that Nimbus. But let me show you Omnic now. She's from Venus. She'll be at my conference. Born on the 5th dimension, 200 years old. She came here at 6 after a short time in Tibet, acclimatizing to the Earth. Now those orbs, when they land, they open up as a lotus flower. Thus the Tibetans, who are a remnant of Lemuria, who went to South America where they had colonies, and eventually they took their spaceships and they landed in the high altitudes of Bolivia and Tibet, where they could survive the radiation and the destruction. This is her back in the day, quite the little beauty. There. Never mind. So that's Omnic. You can come and meet her. So here is a picture. Remember the red blonde girl? She drew this picture. You've heard of the Blue Avians? Well, here they are. She took a picture of them in 1957, way before Corey Good. So this is a Venusian. That's Commander Rhanes that I met. This is Vorton, a Venusian called, his name represents Venusian Observation Ranger. This is a guy from, I forget where. This is a Ganesha being from a moon on Saturn. This is a turtle being with 6 eyes, and he's in the solar system. This is like another guy from Mars or a moon, I don't know. But he's kind of like a little a thing, and they were talking about the future. And here's the bee people. The Venusians were hybridized with the bees. So there's still some of these sentient bees, and there's also the humans. So this is on the space platform called the Leviathan that sits above Venus near the cloaked moon of Neith. There is a cloaked moon up there, and lots of cool stuff going on up there. So I'm going to show you real quick. This is Raymond Keller using his Nimbus. I share this just to show that he would never use this to rob a bank, but basically he told the guy that he would be, I don't know why it's not playing. Maybe I'm not supposed to play it this time. So let's get that going. And do I have my connection? Lord knows, I'm not connected. Anyway, so that's a picture. He actually disappears. You want to come to my, or by my other talk, I show that video. So let me take a pause for any questions and answers. Questions? I give you a lot of stuff. It's a little disjointed, but go ahead.
Can you talk more about the endocrine system and the chakras?
The Endocrine system is the 7 spirits before the throne. It is your vehicle. You know, there's no more worthy gold to pay perfect homage to the sacred temple of flesh, which is your vehicle for spirit. And the endocrine glands, there are many other chakras now on higher dimensionals that are being activated. It's part of our evolutionary process that's taking place now. So we're going through lots of changes. So the endocrine glands play like music. They're influenced by the moon, especially women, the serotonin. In the Middle East, they have something called the Hamsin, and that means 50. And that's the average number of days a year that those giant clouds come in of dust and sand. And what happens is the negative ions in the air will go grab that dust and take it to the ground. So when that dust comes in, there's no life force. Just that's what all the pollution is doing. Our air is filled with positive ions, which cause you to be aggravated and sluggish and tired on a ship like this with the water and the metal. There's a lot of positive ions for the most part running around. You might feel a little more tired than you might get up on that deck. So the life force energy and the kundalini, those are the secrets of alchemical realization and meditation, are the mystery schools. Occult means hidden, just like apocalypse means revelation. The apocalypse doesn't mean it's going to be bad, it means the truth is being revealed. This is the year of apocalypse, according to the Venusians. A lot of truth is going to come out in the next 8 months. They're going to reveal a lot of things. There's these giant arcs that have beings in stasis that are in the ice caps and all this crazy stuff. And there's people that are going to react. So we have to come together and know our neighbor and be positive. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you say that we are going to be visited and everything is going to be out in the open. So what about this transition time right here and the difference between, craft that's already been reverse engineered and is here at Earth, and then craft that's coming from the outers, like, where do we discern that? Like, how are we going to know?
Well, the bad guys, they're not going to be able to do a fake space landing. They're little robots covered with flesh that they were able to do a fake, like the Twin Towers where they flew a little drone and then had a projection. There was a ball that was seen there, decloaked for a moment. It created the laser show when when those planes hit the building. Those weren't planes. Those people were taken off underground and either used as food or sent somewhere as slaves, sadly. The Pentagon was hit by a missile. The other one didn't even crash. They just dug up the ground and it was nothing. So the media control, the propaganda machine is absolutely running full speed. They're lying left, right, center, middle, up, down, forward, behind. And the alt media is just getting information. I'm an insider. There's a reset. Trump's going to come back. We're going to do this and going to do that. We've all been hoodwinked.
And what's the purpose of it? What's their goal?
The purpose of life is to grow in love and association. And
No, I mean, what's the purpose of the people that are doing this?
many of them are innocent and ignorant. They just don't know the truth. All the people that are creating wars, they think we're protecting, but those are just orchestrated, and it ends up being a consolidation of power between the Black Sun, the Jesuits, the Dark Space Fleet, the reptilians are running it all. And all those people that have been promised to be leaders of the world, they ended up to be dragon food anyway. It was the light forces that helping us, yeah.
So how will we discern that?
You discern in your heart and be patient, do good works, care about others. That's really, is essence, is meditate, pray, try to reach out to people, let them know that everything's not as we think it is, and that we're going to have to keep an open mind. So the year of 2024, they call the year of destruction. I'm like, uh-oh. But the counterpart is the measuring of faith. So I've mentioned, and this is very important, I spoke with my friend Raymond this morning about it, is we're going through a hydrogen cloud of 55 million miles. We're 20 years into it. It's causing solar warming. And it is now 15,000 degrees between here and the moon, beyond our atmosphere, all the way out to Pluto. We're having problems on the space station. The heat is so intense. So combining that with regular solar flares, not regular, but Maha cycles of solar flares, creating solar maximums and minimums, we could call it the Schumann resonance kind of reacting. is the sun is sending out energies. What's going on Earth? It's sending out S waves. And the Earth, all planets send back a return frequency. You know, we're sending back a P wave, but our P wave is messed up. So the universe goes, uh-oh, life is a mess there. We better shake it and wipe the scum off of the barnacle's back of the Earth. So humanity's going to be going towards an inevitable cataclysm. And that's going to be exasperated by the solar flares, which is going to, as Alon, you can read this on my website. So if you don't have a card, come to my website. It's called thepromiserevealed.net, Inner Circle free. Go to the Inner Circle, sign up. At the very end, it's not $59 for you, all is free. You're going to get an auto reply. Thank you for joining the Inner Circle. In that auto reply is every question, message, link to all the conversations I've had. And you'll hear Alon say, the solar flares are going to interact with your Earth in a turbocharge because of the hydrogen cloud on many electromagnetic levels that your scientists have no clue. And it's going to break down, it's going to take down satellites. So he said communications are going to be disrupted. If the Earth is facing that side of the solar flare, when it hits the Earth, electrical grids may go out, depending on where they are, not all at once everywhere, but in a series of slow-down cataclysms. Perhaps the solar flares may create what's called the Carrington event. Look that one up. World's Fair, where all the Morse code lines were going down. A lot of electrical, any lights they had problems. They had to replace the system. So if that happens, we need to be prepared. That's coming in 2029, especially when an asteroid comes between the Earth and the Moon 400 miles above our atmosphere. That's going to cause huge tidal surges, drastic weather changes, and combining that with the increased maximum minimum solar flares, we're going to see a breakdown. You won't have to worry about people walking around like this and bumping into poles. Electricity ain't going to work. You're going to have to wake up one day and look at your neighbor and go, we don't have electricity. What are we going to do? The governments have nothing. It's going to come from the local communities. We're going to come together and create alternative systems. Go ahead.
I thought you were asking a question. I said you're going to use a barbecue and one of those black pans and cook on it.
I think that there are plans that when this happens, they will intervene. At this point, Edgar Casey said 2029 when they make contact. So I can tell you the San Andreas Fault is hanging by an edge in LA, and Billy Meyer reported, and I'm probably the only person that put this together. He said I won't go to LA ever because I've seen a future time. We looked into the future and said LA is going to have an earthquake and the water is going to slosh into the basin. He said they'll try to rebuild it, and 2 years later it happens again. So I asked Raymond this morning, and he says, well, I don't know if it's the same asteroid called the Porthos coming around again, or Alon, the 2,400-year-old security chief who walked with Christ, who was one of the Magi at his birth. That's all revealed in there. My head keeps exploding, and I'm like, wow, wow, wow. But I don't want to promote fear on this. I want to promote preparedness. It's kind of like Noah. You know, I mean, and I got the ego and the backup male. I don't care what you think. I'm telling you, I want to tell you, it's nothing we can't handle. Despite the loss of life, we're all eternal souls, and provisions are going to be made. Alon has told me that there will be an evacuation of the chosen themselves by their own frequency. Especially a lot of star seeds that have been here for many lifetimes will not have to go through that. Be taken to planetoids, space platforms, asteroids, moons, motherships and stuff like that, and to be possibly rejuvenated to a younger age and to have their memories restored and to come back and serve the earth, as the woman in the red here did in Lady Columba. Here is a picture of the New Jerusalem. This is 2,000 miles wide, 1,000 miles high, and this is pictures taken by NASA. This is not photoshopped. This planet lines up in front of Venus. It gives it that extra twinkle, the morning star. So I guess I'll just go ahead and play here. I'll get into one of the Venusian messages. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll play Commander Rhanes at the conference. And if you have any questions, you can let me know here. Go ahead.
Have you heard any information about what may be happening perhaps in the Niagara Falls area?
I've not heard anything like that. And they don't give me dates. But Raymond said something big is happening in 2025. I asked him about magnetic flares, don't worry about them. I asked about Nibiru, don't worry about it. You can learn about Nibiru at my conference. There's a mysterious guest who's going to be talking about serious information. So we'll be learning about Nibiru and where that came from and all of that. So we have here, we're going to go to Commander Rhanes, and we're going to play her recording to my summer conference. So I don't know if we're connected by, so this is her, wearing her red beret. They wear bee pens in honor of the bee sentient species that allowed them to live on Venus. They're from a planet called Norca and Tau Ceti.
Dear Brother Robert and friends of Venus, this is the moon-based Clarion Commander Aura Rhanes, acting at the behest of Lady Orda, the Queen of Venus. It is a great honor to record this important message for all of you in attendance at the Meet the Venusian conference in beautiful Mount Shasta, California. I and Lady Columba extend our apologies for the delays in the publication of Dr. Keller's 5th book in his headline banner series, Venus Revelations. The book should be available within a month. It is my most sincere desire that you avail yourselves of the opportunity to check it out, for therein are many of your questions about life on Venus and the other planets of the Confederation of Planets, which are answered in great detail. Brother Robert has compiled a list of questions directed to many in the hierarchy of light on Venus, ones with preview over the planets in your solar system, both seen and unseen. The Queen has authorized me to answer certain of those questions on behalf of these celestial personages, including herself. Al-On appreciates your discretion when speaking about him, particularly, as well as some of the ongoing missions of the Venusian angel force that are currently being carried out on Earth, missions that you may have some awareness of. It is very important for Al-On and other such operatives to avoid frontal photographs being taken of their faces or recordings made of their voices. Discretion is the key word here with regard to the security detachments on Earth protecting Venusians from all dimensional levels. Vice Commander John affirms that you have encountered him on several occasions. Sometimes you may not have been aware that he was nearby. The Vice Commander and other Venusians on the Angel Force are always cognizant and obedient to the biblical revelation provided in Psalms 91:11. For he, Michael the Archangel, angel, will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. You may consider yourself duly privileged to walk in the perpetual light of the illuminated ones. All of those chosen to participate in the night classes aboard our star vessels are among the chosen, called to the ministry of angels. Yes, Brother Robert and friends of Venus, you were called to emulate the moon, being a reflector of the glorious light of the sun to all of humankind. The Apostle John taught you in the sacred book of your New Testament that the light of Christ shineth in the darkness, yet the darkness comprehends it not. John 1:5. Yet those of pure heart, those already in the path of truth, have been called from the beginning of your world. These are the ones who will gravitate to the light immediately after they see it. In this ministry of angels, you serve as the harvesters before the great and dreadful days of tribulation, which shall surely come upon those inhabitants of the earth who remain in darkness. This is also the message that Lord Dismas, the regent of Venus, would like you all to know. The revolution you seek will come through the victory of the light, bringing your neighbors into the light through random acts of kindness, one soul at a time. We interact with the inhabitants of the earth through various archetypes to which you have some familiarity. When knowledge of Venus comes to select individuals, they internalize this information in conformity to their utopian intention this 24th day of August 2020 from a Venusian safe house in the eastern United States. Thank you.
So pretty amazing. They're spiritual, not biblical, although, you know, definitely their information is around Christ. I mean, I can break this down in 2 seconds, so if you guys want to ask some questions, I'd be happy here. I feel very fortunate. Most people don't grasp this. They think it's real. You know, there's a lot of things, and it's kind of, you know, whatever for me. I really wish people would hear this message and warning and kind of an admonition to realize we have to look up from this material world and look to a spiritual gnosis, random acts of kindness. Hello, that's exactly what we need. And you don't need to, you know, wave your banner around. My position is kind of like a bit of a step right up, see the woman coming down from the moon, look at the multidimensional Commander Aura Rhanes, meet the 2,400-year-old Alon security chief, walked with Christ, born under Darius the Great, translated to Venus, and looking the same as he did 2,400 years ago. Watch Alon hold the camera so still you can't believe it. He was the Magi at Christ's birth. You know, I mean, I'm just making such crazy statements. Okay, so anyway, do you guys have any other questions? No. Okay, right. I can come right over here. It's only $100 for a picture with me. No, it's not about money, but I do sell products, and I do appreciate. I got these books. If you want it, the Lady Columba is amazing. It's about her traveling to a parallel Earth and averting a nuclear war, and they shared this because it's important that we know how they work behind the scenes and what will happen when we get into trouble. They will, for those, when things start to fall apart, our judgment, our bigotry, our hatred, our fear will be escalated, but for those who maintain faith and see the disaster as a measuring of their faith, are you going to crumble and commit suicide? Or are you going to step up and realize this is what you came for? This is the time. This is the time for you to be a leader. Even in your local people, not everyone's meant for speaking, but everyone's meant for loving, and for patience and kindness. So, another question maybe?
You mentioned about Obama, you were going to tell us.
Oh, Obama, okay. I'll show you Obama. It's Hitler's grandson, if we have time. It's wild. It just blew my mind. This is from Hitler's bodyguard, Otto Skorzeny. He's a guy with a scar. It's, you know, let's see if I can open this up real quick. But where's the PowerPoint? PowerPoints are, yeah. PowerPoint, let me go up here. Yeah, I know, it's wild, you know. There he is with Ava Brown, his grandmother. Well, not really, actually. PowerPoint, there we go. So, meet the Hitler, I got meet the Venusians, and where's meet the Hitlers? Oh my God. I got my pyramid energy, space people. Here we are, Meet the Hitlers with Rob Potter. Meet the Jetsons. Meet the Hitlers. They're a modded reptilian family. Okay, so here's Hitler. I was telepathically communicated back in 2011. I saw Angela Merkel, the most powerful woman in the world, on Time magazine, and I got real clear. That's Hitler's daughter. Googled it. Okay, so I went home and I looked up and I started doing pictures of Hitler and Angela Merkel, and then you see Hitler's mother and Angela Merkel. You're going to see here, you're going to see Hitler with Angela Merkel. There's a little girl. Here's this one. It says, "You're going to kill more people than I ever did, you little blank." Some people made a joke out of that one, but here we see her. You know, blah, blah, blah. Pardon?
Can you make it bigger? Can you make it full screen?
Oh, yeah. Flag show, play from current side. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. We're going to get them there. We might have to, I'm sorry, I should have played this earlier for you. I just get yakking and one thing leads to another. And okay, here we go. So there she is there. We're going to see her again. And then you see her here with Theresa May and this other girl. Allegedly, they're related to Hitler, too. Now, some Russians exposed this. There they are doing the snake dance. This is all organized at the Tavistock Institute. This is the grooming of the world leaders through their bloodlines. There's a sign of the all-seeing eye of thing, and there we have Mr. Trump in the same level. In that day, this was a symbol. Oh, there we go with Martin Bormann. She really likes that symbol. They're those leaders of Lithuania, England, and Germany. Oh, let's hang out. Oh, yeah. Let's see you later at the child sacrifice. There's Bush, very closely related. There's Obama. There's Hitler and Obama. Now we get into the nitty gritty. Let me see if I can blow this up. I don't know. Okay. So here, you're going to see over here, that's Ava Brown. Next to her is Ann Dunham. This is a picture of Ann Dunham. That's her mother, Gretel's mother. Ava Brown's sister, that's Fanny Braun. And then you see Hitler with Ann Dunham. There's Ann Dunham with Obama. Okay? So let's go back here. One more. So there we go. I got some other pictures here. Gretel Brown. Here she is as Annie Duke. She was wanted for the Weathermen, the Bell Underground. His mother, here she is a little bit younger, doing the naughty pictures. Naughty girl, a little racy for the 50s or 60s or whatever. Here she is with a wanted poster, Barack Obama's mother. Here is Ava Brown, and there she is later. She was with Hitler hanging out. They died, I think he died in '93. I got pictures of them in another book, which I could show. There's little Ann Dunham, Hitler's mother, actually Gretel Brown's daughter who had sex with Hitler. Okay, so here we go. This is a better picture. You see Ava Brown, there you see her in Germany, there you see her then and then. So this is her daughter and this is her grandson. There's Hitler and Ava Brown, that picture there at Berchtesgaden. Here she is with Ann Dunham up at Berchtesgaden before the end of the war. Okay, I kind of thought that he might be related to him because they look so similar here. But Alfred Lambermont Weber convinced me with this image. This is the Indonesian Muslim. And this is confirmed by Andrew Basaggio, who was with Obama, William Stillings, and others up in Mount Shasta, California, where they have a very advanced portal technology. So, unfortunately, he's been mind controlled. Andy said he went to his room and they time traveled into the looking glass and all that stuff back in the day. Andrew actually traveled back to the past. And he said Obama had the sword, the blue turban and all that, and says, I'll be out in a minute. And he saw him at UCLA at the stairs, and he goes, hey, Barry. And he says, hey, Andrew, don't tell everyone I'm going to be president. Unfortunately, you know, he's married to a guy. Has a Michelle. They call him Michael many times. She has a penis, that's for sure. Oh my God, I guess I'm blowing some minds on that one. You'll have to research that one. Now I want to show. Say what? Yeah, oh my God. Well, Kamala Harris is a man. I could show you. And I don't want, it's just kind of incendiary. I don't care what people do with their sexual life, but it's an agenda. That woman Jacinda in New Zealand, that's a guy, that's a tranny. There was a famous thing with before Joan Rivers was killed. The guy goes, hey, Joan, what do you think? We're going to have our first gay president. She goes, oh, everyone knows Michael's a tranny. And she died a week later in a routine surgery. Okay? So they take this kind of stuff very seriously. It's too late now. So I'm going to go into these amazing books. Yeah. I think I have, oh, this is going to blow your mind. So this is what you're going to get, the image and the questions and answers. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to shock or get everyone angry, but I'm not going to pull punches on these naughty people. So here's book info. I think this is it. This is the amazing book of Veil of Invisibility. And if they're going to come in here any minute. Oh, is Maureen, are you up now? Or is that Maureen?
It's lunchtime. It's lunchtime. You're good. You're good.
Okay. When's the next one?
Not until after lunch.
Not till when?
After lunch.
Oh my God, you get to see the Hitlers. Watch this, is an amazing one. And these all come in the inner circle if you look around. So you got to go into, there's a special thing, there's so much links in there, it blows your mind. I got to make this bigger, I'm sorry, I got to pull this up. Where's the bit? Oh, this is a great one here. This is Secret of the Andes. I've been down there. Louis's been inside the mountain. This is the ancient, here we go, baby. Okay, we're gonna rock and roll here. This is Tesla. Okay, this is Tesla standing in front of his Tesla coils. This is what my pyramid technology works with. Now, we're gonna fast forward here, and why is this too big? I better make it smaller. So let me bring it down to a little more reasonable size. So here we go. So, okay, I'll go slowly here. So this is written by Hitler's, okay. Let me take you through this. It's pretty wild. It's really,
Is that a book?
there's a book.
What book is that?
It's called Veil of Invisibility. And I just stumbled upon it after they told me about the Hitlers. I mean, I was getting, this is all in 2011. My mind is blowing up. So this one here, I want to get into the size. I guess I expanded the size too big. Let me go up top real quick. Okay.
That's okay. We like it big. Yeah, we like it big. Yeah, keep it like that.
Okay. Oh, you can see the whole thing? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. So this is the Tesla machine. You can't see it, so I'm going to come down. So that's the Tesla machine. Okay, so let's go up here. So here we go, Tesla. This is the Nazi base in Montana. And you're going to see some crazy stuff here. So this is government secret space program. They've had this. They've been going into they went to the moon. Hitler went to the moon in 1940. They had bases on the moon, a bunch of containers shaped like a Nazi thing, and they're very expanded now. They're gone now. Bye-bye, Dark Fleet. So here we go. This is Glacier National Park. That's the entrance to the base. And this is all based on the work of Tesla. And this is in your thing. And we're going to go into the CIA. Curious George, this is Wardenclyffe Tower. There, Tesla was creating free energy. And it was basically antenna. And Morgan and the reptilian guy said, well, how do we make money off it? And he goes, no, you don't. We just you buy an antenna and you got free energy. That ain't going to fly. So this all was suppressed. So in Colorado Springs, he built this, and of course he was killed by, this is Prescott Bush, AKA George Scherf. a Nazi spy, a full-blown Nazi. I'm going to blow some minds now. Here we see Nikola Tesla and George Scherf. He was acting as Tesla's treasurer for the Nazi Thule Society in 1918. There's a Nazi next to Tesla. They had him killed. So here we see George Scherf, dun, dun, and you look here, it says Prescott Bush. We're going to show you his signature. It's the same, that's Prescott Bush. There's his signature, just like it was, it says, except it says George Scherf. There's General Butler, who said war is a racket. And here we have the Nazi invasion of the Fourth Reich, bringing in Prescott Bush. Okay, sign the papers. Sign the papers. We are taking over. Yeah? Das ist richtig. So here he is in modern day times, and here he is with George Bush Jr., George Scherf Jr., George Scherf Sr., Prescott Bush. This is Otto Skorzeny, Hitler's bodyguard. This guy revealed all this information on his deathbed because George Bush stole 500 pounds of gold that Eva Peron gave him for being his lover. And there he is, with your typical spy, and I love this one. There's George Bush, disturbing allegations made by Skorzeny, blah, blah, blah. So they call Curious George. That name, remember Curious George the monkey and all that? That was named after George Bush Jr. because Scherf actually, he was there at Tesla, and he goes, "What's your kid doing? He's always rummaging around in my experiments." He said, "It's okay, he's doing nothing." He'd walk away, and George Bush Sr., George Scherf Jr. was microfishing and getting all of Tesla's technology. Nazis were very interested, so now you understand the Hannibal with the Thule Society. Here's all of the Nazis bought over from Peenemünde and brought up from South America, Nazi land in American technology and science, okay? Leading the secret space program and the hidden takeover America. Here is the implants of the Greys and the mind control. This is the...
What was that? What was that? Mind control?
Mind control, the implants, right? The anal probes and all the different things. They used to stick them up your nose.
Oh.
And they use this as mind control. All the shooters that are killing people,
Yeah.
those are mind controlled. They have a chip in them, and they activate it. They get a phone call. They leave their house. They put in all the manifesto of killing and what they're going to do.
And who's chipping them?
Huh?
Who's chipping them?
The Greys and the government. The my
The
left.
government is the Greys.
There were tall Greys and then the other ones. This is a proxy for the reptilians. They could not be seen doing a lot of this stuff because they were violating universal law. So they take over a race, and then they become their AI group. Now, the little guys that would abduct people and take the women out that my guy went with, those were clones of the Nubu, the larger Greys. And they would take out a fetus and put in the egg, and then they would put it back later. And take the baby out after it's reached and end up in a dulcie little...
Oh, wait, go back to that. What was the money chart? Yeah, what is that?
Money, it's a crime. So this is basically the all-seeing eye that was created by the Venusians. The Fibonacci series is the number that progresses to infinity, natural abundance. It's the all-seeing eye of God. It can also be turned into the eye of control. So they took over the higher levels of the Masons. Mason was originally, as you heard Commander Rhanes say, I have no problem with the Masonic Lodge. 99.9% of the Masons are now just evolved into ritual. They're learning things and secret handshakes and all that nonsense. At the very highest level, it's ways for policemen and gang members and everyone to meet in absolute secrecy in private. So it's, yeah.
I just have to make something else. You can continue.
Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
But I have to.
Yeah, I'm glad we got time.
And we have to just make a couple announcements.
Sure.
All right, so departure info. I mentioned earlier that you have to tell them by 11 o'clock today about your departure info. This is what that's about. If you're leaving on a plane early, they have to schedule you to get the luggage early and to leave early. So if your flight is extremely early, you have to wheel your own luggage off the ship. That's a fact. If your flight is later, it doesn't matter. If your departure time is scheduled for earlier than you're leaving, no problem. Leave whenever you want to leave. Okay. So that was about. So future cruises, we do have special discounts on the future cruises, and in your packet you have information about that, and you can sign up. If you sign up while you're here, you get a special discount on that. So check that out. And there's some posters on the wall in the hallway about future cruises. The photograph, the group photo that we took, you can get that in the photo gallery, deck 3 aft. Okay? You have to ask for it. Swiping your card is not going to get you that group photo, because obviously your name is not associated with the group photo. You have to ask for it, and they also have some candid photos. If you recall, he was taking shots of us, and they will have those after 6 p.m. today. You'll be able to view the candid shots, and you can purchase those. I'm going to be doing something called spiritual table tipping and your personal questions answered. So I'll be doing that at 7:30 tonight, not at 9:30. I had originally scheduled that for 9:30, but that will be 7:30 tonight if you want to come to that. Any questions? All right.
Thank you, Susan, very much. I have never been on a cruise. This is really fun. I've had a blast. I mean, up on the thing and going into the town. I wish it would have been up. So here we go. Check this guy out. Remember the picture of the guy with the scar on his face, the James Bond, all based on Mr. Scorzini. Welcome, Pearl. So here's this guy's the guy that revealed all this. So this is amazing stuff. So here you see Tesla. Hitler really wanted his information. That's why he put George Scherf or George Prescott Bush Sr. in charge of his finances. I got more. I'm going to blow your mind here. So here we see Prescott Bush, Barbara Crowley, Aleister Crowley's daughter, and there's Junior Bush, the one that Nostradamus predicted. In 2000, the village idiot is acclaimed the leader. They're claimed because they stole the election. And there is, I forget who that is, but probably someone. So Otto Scorzini. So here we go. Here's a fun picture that really lets you know what's going on. Martin Bormann, head of the Luftwaffe. Here is George Bush Sr., George Scherf Jr. This is another one, looks more like George Bush now than then. This is Otto Scorzini, that future Hitler bodyguard, killed back here a lot of guys. And this is, I forget his name. Here's Joseph Mengele, the Doctor of Death. And this is Reinhard Gehlen, the creator of the Gestapo. And this is Betty White's sister, Barbara Crowley. So, and George Scherf Sr., Prescott Bush, is taking this photo. So we get into the Philadelphia experiment called Operation Rainbow Project, where people may have heard about the Tesla Disappearing Act. So what happened was Tesla, Einstein were helping the government develop this veil of invisibility, which this book is named after. So this is Philadelphia. There was another guy named von Neumann who wanted to push forward with the experiment, and Tesla and Einstein said, you can't be doing this. And what happened is when they put these fields out, the humans intermingled in the interdimensional field and ended up fusing into the ship. There were some shoulders there. The famous two Cameron brothers jumped over the side, and they did end up in a desert in I think it was California somewhere. They ended up in the movie called Philadelphia Experiment, somewhat accurate. And there was Vernon Cameron, who was a kind of a good guy, and his brother was remote viewer, very dark, working with the government. And I don't know all that details there, but it's pretty heavy stuff. So now you're going to see it begin to disappear. So these are the guys that were used as guinea pigs, and most of them went crazy. All this, they talk about Hitler. This is Skull and Bones. This is where all the the people, all the money boys went to Yale, and the elite family, grooming ground for the elitists. Mind Control Devices, a great book. You're going to get that for free if you use Inner Circle Free on checkout, all lowercase. So a lot of information read here. I'm just showing you the pictures. There's Tesla's death mask. And
What was the death mask?
it's just like it put a cast over his face. Yeah, that's what he looked like at his death. So I met a girl, actually. She was the husband of a girl named Rhodes, and I believe her name is Susan Arrigo. I met her. I didn't know she was this person until later, but she talked to me, and I saw her there, and she goes, you have a really nice aura, or something like this, and she started talking to me. She's pretty good looking. And I said, well, she's telling me stuff, and I'm kind of not really grasping it that much. And she goes, I can't go out. And she says, I could talk to you. And I said, well, I mean, I could come to your place. And she said, no, you can't come to my place, and all this stuff. So she was like a very advanced psychic, and you're going to see some nasty stuff. So this is an old German handabow. You'll notice the three things like the Venusians. These are magnets. Basically, it's a central pole, and they control it. It's an anti-gravity thing.